What's happening, man? This your guy Kimbo Greedy, man. I was sitting back, and I watched a lot about what's his name, Carmelo Anthony, and the young man Austin, who I think he was 17, Austin Metcalf, man. RP to him. Prayers to his family and everything, because I know everybody making this about 100% about race, and we always like to deal with the effect of what happened. We never want to deal with the cause. We never want to really tell the truth. We never want to speak about like what led to the environment. Like what nobody want to say the bad things that happened on both sides, where both sides was wrong. Carmelo bringing a knife to school to a track meet was entirely wrong. But anybody asking like what makes a child feel like he have to take a knife to school? Has Carmelo been out here bullying people, robbing people, doing something to people? Or if somebody been doing something to him? I'm from Texas, man. I'm from right down the street from Frisco, man. I'm from Dallas, Texas, man. And I don't know why everybody like to play like it ain't no racism no more. Everybody playing like these kids don't be bullying each other. Black kids probably do it to white kids do it to black kids. I'm from Texas. Y'all like a knife or something. I'm from Texas where kids ride, man, when I was coming up. And even now, a kid could come to school with a shotgun on in his pickup truck. Yeah, on the rack, sitting up there. That's where we at. We from where kids, when we see young Caucasian kids with guns, we don't think none of it. But seeing a young black man with a knife bothers people, but this don't bother nobody. I'm just making a point. So we got little untrained black kids with guns or knives or whatever. And like shit, if they is trying to be tough against somebody, they got a losing battle. They not going to the gun range. They not trying to do all this. They not really trying to deal with this. And a lot of times, what happens in Texas, you have a lot of youths in the inner city going to school, athletes. They real good at sports, might be quarterback, running back, or whatever. Their parents might be able to afford to move to the suburbs where the better schools at. They got a better chance of probably going to the NFL. A lot of times these parents, these black parents feel like, hey man, my kid's gonna be good. A lot of times parents, they have no clue what these kids be dealing with at these schools. I'm gonna say that, man. But let me go ahead and get to this reaction I'm doing, because I'm gonna start with 1090 Jake, and then I'm gonna dive in and we're gonna react to some of him, and we're gonna react to this attorney from Dallas also. And I'm gonna show y'all the difference between how this shit is being covered. I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can like who y'all like. But old 1090 Jake, man, something about him just not right to me. For him to be a gang member or whatever he called himself, or he from the streets. When it comes to that color line, y'all see where he stand. Y'all see what he gonna say. All right, let's go. We're gonna start with just 1090 Jake, man. I'm gonna try to be, you know, as understanding as I can.
There's no self-defense, because if you are afraid the day before, well, you have to take.
Hold on. He says no self-defense.
There's no self-defense, because if you are afraid the day before, well, you have to take a weapon to school. Okay. Why not notify your parents? You getting ready to run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to.
Okay, so hold on. He said if you're scared, Charles will say if you're scared, You should tell your parents. What if I did tell my parents? What if I did? What if my parents do know that it's some racism going on? What if they do know that these kids be acting a little different? They be tripping a little bit. But some people carry a knife just to carry a knife. It ain't just to stab no. It ain't trying to go kill nobody. You know what I'm saying? Some people carry stuff for self-defense, but a lot of kids do tell their parents. How's it ain't no self-defense? I didn't carry this knife with no intention to go kill this man. I didn't even want no confrontation with this man. I'm gonna remind y'all, he was trying to get out the rain. That's why he was under that tent. That's the point that a lot of people keep leaving out. And I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Talking about he had a knife. You damn right. If you're a black man, you better be walking around with a talking about he had a knife. You got white boys riding around with guns and y'all crying about a knife.
The hard part that cost me is I lost my son, and his brother was holding him.
Hold on. This is tripping me out, and no disrespect to this guy, but if it was me, y'all would bring up all my stuff. So I was curious when they was like the father was trying to go make amends, and somebody hit me up and they say, "Bro, don't fall for that shit, because that father, he got a problem with keeping his hands to himself too." I was like, "Well, keeping his hands to himself? What do y'all mean by that?" So somebody sent me a screenshot of his arrest record. What he been in jail for? You know what? I was gonna put it up here, but I ain't gonna be like that.
Trying to hold the blood in, and he passed. My son watched his brother die in his arms. I need a break.
That's messed up. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even if somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not.
Why? This man sat here and said he was afraid of black people because they was robbing and killing people around him. We're afraid of white people. Why y'all act like we just be so safe? Like, oh, it's white people right there, we safe. No. Black people don't feel like that. Just because y'all rather rob us with a suitcase by playing like you are a lawyer when we go through stuff, or y'all rather rob us by being politicians, we scared of y'all too.
Condemn the culture that killed your son.
The culture.
Are you done?
Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the problem, my friend.
A confrontation
Thank you.
between two teens left one dead and the country divided. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the criminal case of Karmelo Anthony. April 2nd, 2025, it was 10 a.m. when the Staley Middle School resource officer heard over the radio there was a stabbing at the school track field. Frisco police would alert nearby officers an athlete was the
That's
victim,
what y'all. This
and
nigga
the
from
suspect was a
Boston.
black
Boston
male
reeks of
wearing a gray
racism to
hoodie
me.
and blue sweatpants. The school officer rushed to the stadium where two teens
This
told him
nigga's
the
a
victim was
blood,
under the
gang
Memorial
member, too.
High School tent. Approaching the tent, an adult would point out the suspect, who remained on the track separated from the.
What? You gotta be lying. I know he wasn't under the other school's tent. I know that's punishable by death for being up under somebody else's tent.
Officer by a chain link fence.
The team?
The
other
officer
school?
commanded the suspect to keep his hands in the air, and the suspect complied, saying, "I was protecting myself." As the officer placed the suspect in handcuffs, the suspect said, "He put his hands on me." The officer sat the suspect on the ground while advising back up over the radio he had the alleged suspect. The suspect then stated, "I'm not alleged, I did it." By this point, the suspect had the right to remain silent, he just didn't have the ability. While walking him to the police vehicle, the suspect became emotional, crying hysterically as he said, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to." While in the back seat, he then asked officers if the victim was going to be okay.
So y'all ask me, if I ask you not to put your hands on me, but do you decide to violate my personal space and do it anyway? What is that? I'm not that smart. Y'all hear me out, because 1090J say most people can't read. You really mean most niggas can't read.
The suspect would identify himself as 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, a student from Frisco Centennial High. While this was going on, athletic trainers along with the Frisco Fire Department were attempting to save the victim. The weather turned to a heavy downpour of rain, causing the fire department to place a tent over the victim. A police officer began using his phone to photograph the crime scene, as others began taping off the area and moving non-essential people out of the stadium. Officers were...
Now, I'm gonna stop to say this right quick. Y'all see how 1090J, he started to rain after the incident. Y'all pay attention to this shit, man. I don't know who paid him or who motivated him to make this, but y'all, this is very selective, very biased.
Informed the weapon used had been tossed, with a witness stating it was in the bleachers. Officers discovered the folding knife, partially open and still bloody, deciding to cover it with a tarp. An officer grabbed a backpack to weigh the tarp down, noticing it was the only backpack from Centennial High, as all the others were from Memorial. It was later discovered this was the suspect's backpack. The victim, identified as 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, was a Memorial High student. Investigators would learn the stadium was hosting a track and field championship with multiple schools in attendance. The stabbing took place under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. A witness would tell police he was sitting under the tent with his team and was near his teammate Austin as everything played out. Austin told the suspect, Karmelo, that he needed to move out from under their team's tent. Not only did Karmelo go to a different school, he was under their tent wearing Centennial High clothing. Karmelo grabbed his backpack, opened it, and reached inside.
Did you hear this shit? I mean, this fool said this. I ain't gonna call him no nigga. I'm sorry, y'all. This guy from Boston, this gang member, this fake blood from Boston, sit here and told us that another guy was sitting under the other team's tent wearing Centennial. Hey, man, I thought we were all civilized people. If he was under the tent, if everybody was being civilized, and it's raining, why'd you acting like it's some Bloods in the Crip thing? Y'all listen to this 1090J. Here like they went to different schools, even though they're in the same district. He make it seem like they couldn't be friends, like they couldn't be cool, like they couldn't hang out together. Y'all can't be at the same party. Y'all can't be there at the same track meet because somebody's under your tent. That means rough them up or put your hands on them about a tent. Go get an adult. Did y'all just hear when this first started out what Charleston White just said? He said, if you feel like you was in threat, why you didn't tell your parent, Austin Metcalf? Why didn't you go get an adult? Why didn't you go get a trainer? Why didn't you go get somebody else or a Centennial coach? Why you didn't go get somebody of authority to get him from up under your tent? That would have been a good idea. I'm not saying you deserve to die, get hit, or did none of that. But if that shit would have been handled like that, we wouldn't even be here today.
Telling Austin, touch me and see what happens. The witness told officers no one really thought Karmelo.
The witnesses, and he said, touch me and we'll see what happens. This guy said the witnesses said they thought Karmelo didn't have a weapon. What? That is who? Because you thought somebody didn't have a weapon. That means You gonna go ahead and rush them, or you gonna put your hands on them because you thought they didn't have a weapon? That's crazy. I don't care if you did or you didn't. I'm not putting my hands on you about no tent, and all I gotta do is holler, "Hey, coach, y'all come get this player."
Place under the Memorial High School pop-up tent in the visitors' bleachers. A witness would tell police he was sitting under the tent with his team and was near his teammate Austin as everything played out. Austin told the suspect, Karmelo, that he needed to move out from under their tent. Not only did Karmelo go to a different school, he was under their tent wearing Centennial High clothing. Not only did Karmelo go to a different school, he was under their tent wearing Centennial High clothing. Karmelo grabbed his backpack, opened it, and reached inside, telling Austin, "Touch me and see what happens." The witness told officers no one really thought Karmelo had any weapons, so Austin proceeded to touch Karmelo. Karmelo then told Austin to punch him and see what happens. A short time later, Austin grabbed Karmelo to tell him to move, and Karmelo pulled out with the...
He grabbed him to tell him to move. You make it sound real like, "Oh, excuse me, sir. Could you just please move?" And he stabbed him. 1090 Jake, showing your true colors, bro.
The witness described as a black knife, stabbing Austin once in the chest before running away. Austin began grabbing his chest, telling everyone to get help, and shortly after, he'd lose consciousness, stop breathing, and never wake up again. 2 more witnesses were found breathing heavily and crying, one of which was identified as the victim's younger brother. He was unable to say much, but his friend said they were sitting on the bleachers under the Memorial High School tent. A male wearing a different school's clothes came and sat down, so Austin told him to wake up again. 2 more witnesses were found breathing heavily.
2 more witnesses? How you know they weren't trying to help get Karmelo?
Heavily and crying, one of which was identified as the victim's younger brother. He was unable to say much, but his friend said they were sitting on the bleachers under the Memorial High School tent. A male wearing a different school's clothes came and sat down, so Austin told him since he didn't go to Memorial, he had to leave the tent. While arguing, Austin was stabbed and the suspect ran.
Arguing all this, I thought you said he just touched him and asked him, bro, what makes somebody think that somebody sitting under your tent, that wasn't gonna hurt nobody? And y'all keep leaving out the rain part.
Austin's younger brother held on to his older brother as he lost consciousness, bleeding out in his brother's arms.
Damn,
It was 10:46 a.m. when Austin was brought into the trauma bay at the hospital. 7 minutes later, he was pronounced dead. His heart had been pierced and he bled to death.
Damn.
Officers listed student witnesses from Lebanon High, Liberty High, Memorial High, Frisco High, Independence High, and Emerson High. Centennial High's head coach told officers he heard his athlete confess to the stabbing, while 2 coaches from Independence High School witnessed the stabbing.
And y'all notice
Karmelo Anthony would be charged.
Y'all notice how you ain't gonna hear none of them people being called no snitch and none of that. Shit, they doing what they supposed to do for us. They look at it when they upstanding citizens. If that was in the hood, everybody out there on this list would be called a snitch. People be trying to hurt them and do shit to them.
With first-degree murder and transported to the Collin County Jail. Under Texas law, even at 17 years old, Karmelo could and would be charged as an adult. His bond would be set at $1 million. Immediately following his arrest, social media would divide black versus white. Some of the black community would come to the immediate defense of Karmelo, stating it was purely self-defense and he's only been arrested because of the fact that his victim is white. They'd also claim the victim in this case was the aggressor. While GoFundMe doesn't allow funding lawyers for criminal cases,
Yeah, shit, he was the aggressor. Y'all just don't want to admit it because Y'all can't say that. You sure can't say it 1090J. They'll kick you out. They'll kick you out the clan.
Apparently, Give Send Go does, and over $500,000 has been raised for Karmelo, with a list of donation comments raising concern amongst journalists. One anonymous donation would label Karmelo an anti-bullying hero, a scholar, and a gentleman. A donator named Black Excellence.
Hold on, watch this. They worried about the money so much. What did Dylan Roof collect? Like, it's fun to me how they play games, right? Kyle Rittenhouse raised. I don't get it. So there's nothing wrong with Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know, man. Y'all be saying that y'all try to tell us everything don't have nothing to do with race. But they're making a big deal out of this young man Karmelo raising some money. And not only that, y'all want to speak about self-defense.
Hey, Jack, what's happening?
See, this is the type of stuff that confused me, right? See, y'all said if Austin would have pushed him or put his hands on him, he didn't have a knife, so that's not like adequate force. Like I heard a lawyer say if somebody push you, you don't have the right. Or somebody hit you with their hands or hit you with a stick, you don't have the right to have an AR-15. I pull out an AR-15 and shoot them dead. I'm going to say this. Dylan Roof showed me otherwise. He got hit with a skateboard and used the AR-15 in his defense. Am I right or wrong? But hey, this is why I say it's to America.
Of light.
Hold on. So I wonder, does this guy even have any idea what them people meant by that when they said about fear of losing dominance? Have you ever heard that before, 1090J? Have you ever heard white people say that they're doing what they're doing to save the white race because if they keep going at the rate they are, that they'll be the minority one day and all of this, something that they don't want to be? You know what I'm saying? Have you ever heard that before?
Judge Tucker's decision would cause her to receive violent and racist threats on social media, leaving her with no choice but to privatize her Twitter.
Shows you all the character.
Describing himself as a minister of justice, political, civil, and human rights activist, and supporter of Black Lives Matter. His suit, tie, and slow speaking aligns with more of a gimmick from a man with an agenda. Come to find out, Dominique has a long criminal history himself and served prison time for abusing a baby.
So what I'm not gonna say he's no angel, but messing with a baby, that's some horrific. Yeah, I can't argue with that. He's out of line for that. But nigga, you been to jail before too, 1090J. What's wrong with? Because he's been to jail before. And why are you? Who's speaking? Go and break down who the other family guy speaking for them. What do this dude have to do with the case? See, this is the twist. Somebody probably told him, man, that Dominique nigga, he ain't shit. Somebody in the fed just goddamn me wood, some information. And
back in July of 2009, he was babysitting his girlfriend's 2-year-old son when he called her telling her to get home now.
What does this have to do with Karmelo Anthony? But I'm going to keep letting this go because shit, y'all need to know about this.
Tell her why, and when she arrived, the child was unresponsive. He'd claim he'd walked into another room and heard the baby boy fall off the couch as he was watching a movie. When he walked back in, the boy's eyes looked funny. Later telling a detective, they rolled to the back of his head. The 2-year-old boy was placed in the intensive care unit.
Oh yeah, okay. Y'all get this. He rolled down on the guy that's representing Karmelo and them. He want to make them look bad. What happened to the case, man? What happened to you speaking about the case, dude? So watch this. This guy right here, y'all. This big old blood. So big old hillbilly blood. Now I know I'm not as well spoken as some of you people out here that might be watching this. I understand I'm not the spokesperson for my race or whatever, but I just want to get my point out there. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to get a black attorney that's from the area who's been to those courtrooms and actually wrote a book. And we're going to promote that too. I want to let y'all hear the difference between the take on this and why it ain't just nobody making this is racial. Ain't nobody like this divided. Man, we've been divided. What's wrong with y'all? Because they let you join the Bloods, nigga. You think we not divided? Man, this is just crazy, man. Y'all see what happened? Y'all see how this shit go?
Grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Hello, everybody. I pray that you're doing well, and I pray that you have a fabulous week. All right, so the tragic death of Austin Metcalf, a white teenager from Frisco, Texas, has gained national attention. Police have arrested and charged 17-year-old, a black kid, Karmelo Anthony, with his murder. First, my deepest condolences go out to the Metcalf family and their loved ones. Let's take a moment of silence to honor their pain and loss. Now, I also want to acknowledge the heartbreak of the Anthony family, and this is a devastating moment for both families. There were no winners and will be no winners in this tragedy. This is pain for everybody who are involved in this matter. On either side, I've been here so many times. Now, my law practice is based in Dallas County, which is just about 30 to 40 minutes south of Collin County, where this matter took place and where it will be adjudicated. I have personally Now, I also want to acknowledge the heartbreak of the Anthony family and those who love him. This is a devastating moment for both families. No winners and will be no winners in this tragedy. This is pain for everybody who are involved in this matter. I'm going to grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. Hello, everybody. I pray that you're doing well, and I pray that you have a fabulous week. All right, so the tragic death of Austin Metcalf, a white teenager from Frisco, Texas, has gained national attention. Police have arrested and charged 17-year-old, a black kid, Karmelo Anthony, with his murder. First, my deepest condolences go out to the Metcalf family and their loved ones. Let's take a moment of silence to honor their pain and loss. Now, I also want to acknowledge the heartbreak of the Anthony family and those who love him. This is a devastating moment for both families. There were no winners and will be no winners in this tragedy. This is pain for everybody who are involved in this matter on either side. I've been here so many times. Now, my law practice is based in Dallas County, which is just about 30 to 40 minutes south of Collin County, where this matter took place and where it will be adjudicated. I have personally and with other attorneys tried multiple murder cases, including one in Collin County in that very same courthouse. So from both a legal and local experience, I bring that perspective to this. Now, let me talk a little bit about Collin County. It is very different from Dallas County. It is an affluent suburban county. The median household income is about $127,000, and the median home value up there is about $475,000.
Notice how this grown man did his homework before he just got to speaking. He just didn't jump out there. He didn't let the facts pass him. You know what I'm saying? He not on here trying to race bait. He's showing respect to both sides. He ain't trying to throw nobody under the bus, and he's telling you about the area. You know what I'm saying?
Dollars, and about 57% of the citizens in Collin County own their own home. So this is a very different county than Dallas County. Now, regarding the racial demographics, whites are about 50% of the population up there. Asians make up about 20% of the population. Hispanics make up about 16% of the population, and blacks around 11.5%. This is all based on census data. Now, in terms of the court system up there, Collin County is politically conservative, and it's often referred to as Trump country. So it is very red up there. It is the home of Ken Paxton, our Attorney General here in Texas. Now, that said, I've never felt like when we've done cases up there, and we've done so many cases in Collin County, I've never felt like Now, if I felt like Karmelo, if I want to tell you, you know you done fucked up, don't you? By committing this crime in the home of Ken Paxton, oh man, state attorney jump. Woo! That's kind of bad, man. We didn't feel like there was any racism going on. And we know, of course, racism is systemic. It's in, the systems and the institutions of America. But again, as far as dealing with people personally and individually, I cannot say that I remember an incident in Collin County or in the Collin County courthouse where I felt singled out because of my. Now, I'm gonna accept his answer because I feel like he's being honest, but I wonder has anybody else, or that's your job, so I don't think right now you would think that'd be a good time to say that. Race or my clients. That said, a young black defendant like Karmelo Anthony will face a jury pool if his case goes to trial that does not reflect his racial background. And that's going to be something that his legal team will have to deal with. The fact that most of the jury pool, the 65 folks who will come into their courthouse during their trial, and they're going to have to pick the jury from those 65 people, and they're not going to be heavily African American, like it would be if you were in Dallas, for example. All right? Speaking of Karmelo's legal representation, his legal team, I don't know them personally, but one's name is Billy Clark, and the other one is Kim Cole. Billy Clark recently ran for judge. He was not elected, but he ran for judge. And Kim Cole is known for her work with.
Hey, y'all notice the difference in the way that 1090 Jake decided to speak about this case and the way that this attorney is doing? 1090 Jake didn't tell you who the attorney was. He just went to unless I missed it. He just went to the guy who was speaking, the representative.
Several high-profile civil rights cases, okay? So Karmelo is in capable hands. He has strong advocates, and I am certain that they're going to fight for him and give him the zealous representation that he is entitled to. Now, Karmelo is facing a murder charge, right, under Texas law. And since he is 17 years of age, he's automatically treated as an adult, and this will not be a juvenile case. He will be treated as an adult in adult court. However, prosecutors must present his case to a Collin County grand jury so that the grand jury can review the evidence in this case and determine whether there is probable cause to indict Karmelo, okay? Just because there is a pending murder charge doesn't mean that the grand jury is going to indict him. But based on all that I've read, they likely will find probable cause to issue what we call a true bill of indictment. Now, there is an arrest record that has been made public, an arrest report, and I want you to remember that that is not final and it's not evidence. It is the investigation that the police and likely detectives did in this case, but that's not evidence. That's not evidence. It's biased. It's the police's perspective. It's the state's perspective. Moreover, the report itself is what we call hearsay. And what's in it is hearsay. So it's what we call double hearsay. All right, so it does not come in the trial unless it's used for some other reson than to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
That nigga went off there hearsay like it was the gospel, man.
I actually want to go to the arrest report and I want to read a few things from it, okay? Let's go over there. So here we have Karmelo Sincere Anthony, age 17. He is 5'9", he weighs 130 pounds, so he's a small kid. He's a small, skinny little kid, okay? I'm sorry that he's in this situation, and I'm certainly sorry that the Metcalf lost a son. This is tragic all the way around. So we see here that Karmelo is charged with murder under Texas Penal Code 19.02. All right, and we're going to talk about what that means in just a moment. But right now, I want us to read a few things that I have highlighted here. On April 2nd, 2025, at 10:01 hours, that's 10 o'clock in the morning, I, Staley School Resource Officer E. Cortez, heard over the radio dispatch call out a stabbing call at David Kuykendall Stadium. FPD, that's Frisco PD, call notes indicated that an athlete was stabbed. The suspect was reported as being a black male wearing a gray hoodie and blue sweatpants. Now, I want to show you something here that may not mean anything, but it stood out to me when I read this. So just underscore that he made a note that the suspect is a black male. I immediately left my office and ran across the Staley Middle School parking lot towards a southwest entrance into the stadium. As I entered the stadium, 2 high school age students informed me that the victim was on the north end of stadium by the bleachers under Memorial High School tent. In parentheses, he got, I did not identify these students. So there was no mentioning of their race. Okay, there's no mentioning of their race. Next, I proceeded towards the north end of the stadium, visitors' side, on foot. As I got closer to the north end, I could see the Memorial High School tent with multiple individuals under the tent. Once I arrived into the north side bleachers, an adult male who was on the track pointed out the suspect. I was not able to identify that witness. So here on two separate occasions, he didn't write, he wrote adult male, he didn't write Hispanic adult male, he didn't write white adult male, he didn't write for the two high school students above, one white, one Hispanic, one black. No, he just identified the race of the suspect in this case. That may have been nothing, but it certainly does stand out to me. Reading two important legal things that I want to share with you here. So he goes on to say, I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. All right, so he had the suspect, who was Karmelo Anthony.
Okay.
He says, I gave basically Karmelo instructions to keep his hands up in the air. So Karmelo had his hands up. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, I was protecting myself. Now, let's go back. I point out that the officer said he instructed Karmelo to keep his hands up in the air. That means that he had Karmelo detained. He wasn't arrested,
He was detained,
but he was detained. He was detained. Now, the reason I bring that up, and this is what we have to do when we're representing people, we have to go through each line of these reports and the discovery that we get, and we got to pick them apart. So he had the young man with his hands up. That means that young man was not free to leave. He was detained. And because he was detained, what he should have done, what the officer should have done, was read him his Miranda warning. His Miranda warnings. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. One will be appointed you if you can't afford him. All right? That's what he should have done. Because notice what happens. During this time, the suspect said verbally out loud, quote, I was protecting myself, close quote. Well, had the officer read him the Miranda warning, I mean, listen to it.
But now, I'm trying to see the difference of when Super Blood 1090 Jake, when he spoke about this, he said that Karmelo had the right to remain silent, but not the intelligence, the brain, or something to do so. Okay.
But again,
the difference.
You have the right to remain silent. That would have triggered, it could have triggered in Karmelo's mind that he probably doesn't need to say anything because you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will and can be used against you. But this was a kid, a 17-year-old kid, absolutely did not understand. Be quiet. And it was responsibility to tell him that you have the right to remain silent.
Now, if I guess people are gonna say, man, all of that stuff don't matter. He's a killer. He had a knife. He don't get no rights. Trump sent him to Cuba, sent him to Guatemala. You know, to get him out of here. Trump sent him to Guantanamo Bay. Trump. Nah, man, still a child, man.
Be used against you. But this was a kid, a 17-year-old kid, absolutely did not understand, right, that he could be quiet. And it was the responsibility of this officer to tell him that you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to a lawyer. Any and everything you say, we're going to use against you. If you don't have money for a lawyer, you will be given one. See, that
anything said before that point don't even count.
would have caused young Karmelo to keep his mouth shut, but he didn't. So he said, I was protecting myself. And I bring that up. Let me just say this. I bring all of this up to say that if this was our client, and I'm sure Mr. Clark and Miss Cole will be thinking along these lines as well, we would file a motion to suppress these statements on the basis that Karmelo's constitutional rights were violated. His Fifth Amendment right to remain silent was violated because the cop failed to do what he was legally obligated to do under Supreme Court precedent, which is once he detained him to read him his Miranda warnings. Okay? All right. It should be noted that I had not questioned him about the incident when he made that comment. Now that would be their argument. That's going to be their argument if a motion to suppress comes up, which is I didn't read him his Miranda warnings because I had not begun to interrogate him. Well, we would say that doesn't matter. We would still argue. In fact, I've gotten, I remember a huge case where they did the same thing to our client. I got that case dismissed because the officer did the very same thing. And our client confessed to the end. He got that that statement. We got all that thrown out of court. And the case then was dismissed because that was the only evidence they had. I'm not saying that in this case. I'm not saying that what Karmelo said is the only evidence in this case. I don't know that to be true. Okay, from what's in this report, there were witnesses. So I don't know, and I'm not going to get a lot into the facts because I just don't know. All I have is this arrest report, and that's the police's side. That's those other witnesses' side. That what Karmelo said before the officer asked him anything, not protected by the Fifth Amendment. Now, whether it was before or after, he still should have read those Miranda warnings, and we don't know what is true. We don't know if he asked the question before Karmelo said what he said. We don't know. The body cam, there is body cam here from what he says in this report. The body cam will determine that, and the defense will get footage, see if those statements, if what Karmelo said should have been Mirandized, if he should have been Mirandized first. So anyway, he did ask him a question. I asked him if he had any weapons. Now, I want you to understand, because he was detained and because of being directly interrogated, this was another chance for this officer to Mirandize this kid. And there's nothing in this record that says he was Mirandized. Nothing in here to say that. So this is a violation of this kid's Fifth Amendment right, his constitutional right. And then everything that came after this violation of his constitutional right is what we call fruit of the poisonous tree. And the judge should not only suppress what Karmelo said in response, but everything he said. Everything he said in this report should be suppressed because it was extremely important for this kid. He's only 17. He doesn't know these things. He doesn't know anything about the law. He should have been Mirandized. Okay? And he didn't get that. And so he's saying all sorts of things because the police didn't Mirandize him. Defense. I did not locate any of his.
Do y'all realize what I mean by when I say the difference, man, the way he's doing this?
Any on his person. I instructed the male to continue walking along the fence, which he complied, towards an area where there was an opening in the fence that led off the track. While walking him off the track, the suspect also said, quote, he put his hands on me, close quote. Still no Miranda warning. Still No Miranda warning. Still, he didn't tell him he had the right to be silent.
Just letting him talk.
And so this young man, not knowing what he's doing, he's a kid. He's a kid, right? Both him and the Metcalf kid. They were both kids, 17-year-old. I believe that the other kid was 17 as well. That's why this is such a tragedy. So meanwhile, Karmelo is still talking. He put his hands on me. Now, again, we don't know if all of this is true. We must, or his attorneys must see the body cam to confirm that Karmelo said any of this.
Right.
So remember what I said earlier. Don't take any of this to be true because it's a police report. It has not gone through the rules of evidence and so forth and so on. And the jury will not see it. Okay?
Right.
I then detained a suspect. Now, that's critical. He says,
my internet tripping, man, and I think I done made my little point. I think y'all understand where I'm coming from now, man, about the difference between this, man. How they cover this, but I might do a part 2 to this, man. I guess my internet tripping. It's nighttime. I done plugged it up to the Ethernet and everything.